everyone, Emily here and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making one of my favorite smoothie recipes, and I've been making this on and off for the past couple of years. You might have heard of it. It was going around the internet a few years ago and super popular. It was the Reese Witherspoon smoothie, and we're going to be putting this entire bowl of fruits and vegetables into the smoothie. There's a whole head of lettuce in here, celery, we have a few fruits, but this is not a very sweet smoothie. So if you're a person who loves a really super sweet fruit smoothie, this might not be for you. If you like green juice, you're really going to like this one. So it has all of the same benefits of green juice, but we get to keep all of the fiber. And this is enough to make 2 servings. So don't get freaked out by the quantity here. You can make this and then save the second half for the next day. So we'll take a closer look at her recipe, went back and found the original one, and we'll put this together and I'll let you know how it tastes. So let's get started. There's a lot that goes into this smoothie. So if you don't have the most powerful blender like a Vitamix or something like that, I would make just half of the recipe at once so you don't overwhelm your blender. That's what I'm going to do. I have just a pretty basic one. So I'll put the exact quantities of everything that she used down in the description box below, but let's get started putting this together. I forgot to mention there's also some spinach in here, so we have that whole bowl of fruits and vegetables and even more greens. So I'll start off with a decent handful of spinach and put that directly into the blender. Now we're gonna move on to our lettuce. Her recipe does call for 2 heads of romaine, but this is an exceptionally big head of lettuce here, so I'm just going to use this 1 head. So again, I'm making a half batch. So I'll give this a slice in half, set the other half aside. I did already wash all of my fruits and vegetables. Just give that a rough chop and then toss that straight into the blender. You'll notice this is already starting to fill up quite a bit, and I haven't even put all of my greens in yet. So I'm going to give this a little blend with some water. This recipe calls for a ½ cup of coconut water. I'm just going to use regular water in mine. So I poured in my liquid, putting the top onto my blender, and we're going to give this a good blend so it all kind of shrinks down and there's room for the rest of our ingredients. I did have to kind of push it down just a little bit. Again, I don't have the best blender, but you literally can make this in any blender. It's going to be just fine. So I'm going to set this aside. It's not totally blended up yet. There's just a little bit more room, and I'll finish adding in the rest of my lettuce. Give that a good push down. Now I'm going to add in one of my fruits, and this calls for a whole pear. So again, I'm just making half, and so I'm going to use a ½ pear. Just going to remove the core, pop that into the top, and again, give this a little blend to help everything shrink down. You can see I was able to get that to blend up pretty well, but you can also see why I am not going to be making the full batch in here. This is already half full. The next thing I'm going to add in is a ½ an apple. Again, her recipe calls for a full apple, but since I'm making a half batch, or 1 serving, I'm just going to be using half. So I'll core the apple, pop that in. We'll also add in ½ of a banana. And I'll throw in a couple of pieces of celery. So again, just give these a rough little chop and throw them into the blender. And finally, we're going to add in a whole lemon. Now you will take off the outside, so take off the peel, but you'll leave everything else totally intact. This recipe is so great to use up whatever you might have in your fridge. So if you have some herbs that are about to go bad, maybe some parsley, you have a little extra lettuce that you need to take off your hands before it's about to go bad, throw this in here. This is going to do just fine because you're blending it up anyway. Super flexible recipe. You can definitely make some substitutes. I like to throw in some cucumber when I have that in the garden. That's a great way to use it up. And we just give this all a nice blend, and this is going to be about done. And that's it. Give it a really good blend. You don't want this to be chunky. There are a ton of vegetables in here, so blend for quite a bit until it looks pretty smooth. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to pour this into a glass. This is 1 serving of the Reese Witherspoon smoothie. I still have half of my other fruits and vegetables over here prepped up and ready for tomorrow. So let's give this a taste. It just smells so fresh. This is a really nice smoothie. I know it sounds like a lot of vegetables, but it actually tastes really good. So if you're skeptical, I would give it a try before you knock it. You can throw some mint in there, really whatever you have in the garden, whatever you have in the fridge that you want to use up, and it goes great. So here we go. And of course, it's really good. It's not too sweet. It's not too vegetable-y either. I would say it's just a super refreshing drink. If you want it to be a little bit thinner, you could add a little bit more water. Her original recipe calls for coconut water, but I think it's just fine like this. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I hope you're brave enough to give it a try. If you do, let me know what you think of it. It's one of my favorites, and I think it's super versatile and super refreshing, especially heading into the summer. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can get notified every time I post. And if you have a suggestion for another recipe that you want me to try, leave that in the comment box down below. You can find the full recipe to this in the description box, as well as links to my social media pages and my Amazon page for all of my cooking favorites. I hope to see you back here next time.